What I want to share today isn't a 10-step guide or 10 tips to blowing up your brand in 2025, because you're probably sick of that. It's what all of our social news feeds are full of, right? For those who have seen it, raise your hand. Anyone seen that crap? Anyone sick of that crap? Yeah, awesome, sweet. If I say any of that, throw me into the pool. If I veer at all whatsoever. Because it's hard to be pretty prescriptive for something that is unique as you. There's no cookie cutter approach towards this concept called personal branding. For me, my thesis and hopefully what I want to share today and leave some ideas with you today is that it's actually a journey of self, and it's a journey of coming home to yourself and then being able to invite others to do the same. And when I read on this note, this beautiful handwritten note that Divi left for me, or the team had organised, I'm not too sure. I just mentioned in passing to Divi that I was leaving my home on the day that, in a very bittersweet way, my partner and I's beloved cat of 4.5 years, unfortunately, got hit by a car. And he passed away on the morning that I was flying to India. So I was also leaving my partner, who was going to have a house of grieving by herself that was really, really challenging too. And I just mentioned it in passing to Divi, just saying, hey, this got no impact on my stay. I'm not rescheduling my flights. I'm not doing anything. I'm still going to come here. And I walked into the room. Maybe it's a story for another day in a 4-part series. Let's say there were a couple of curveballs and misadventures for us to get here in transit. For Divi, let's call it a couple of learnings, and there was some great changes that came as a result of it. And I walked into my room after waking up at 4 a.m, arriving at 6 p.m, getting delusional crazy, jumping between cars, having to learn how to do a squat in a toilet for the first time after years. It was all sorts. And I arrived, and after reading this beautiful message, this homage to the passing of my cat, Divi also knows my partner. He's met Maddie back in Australia. He finishes it with the phrase, "Welcome home to Milele, Team Jungli." And being so far away from what felt like home to me, like I cried, I dropped my guard. I'm glad I didn't read that in front of you, because honestly, that's exactly what I was craving. And it's something that is rare to create. It's something that makes me realize that we have these things called houses. We can architect them, we can design them, we can build them with great builders, we can layer on as many fancy features, modern architecture, etc. But it takes something to make a house a home. And a home is that imperceptible feeling. It's hospitality, it's service, it's value, it's connection. It's things that are beautifully, designed building. And in the world of content creation, it isn't the camera that you've got, it isn't the time that you post, it isn't which platform you're on or how hard your hook was. It's how you made people feel once they finished being in your presence. And what I hope to leave with all of you today, at least, my mission, is to reimagine the way you think about how you're showing up online and how you are magnetizing and attracting the people who are your kind of vibe, your kind of tribe, and kind of like giving the middle finger to everyone else who isn't at the same time. A lot of people don't often touch on that. To give you a quick personal story as to my background to how I really got into this space and one of my catalysts, I think it's always really important that Divi got to introduce all of you. I'd like to let you know about myself, just in a short little round. I lost my dad about 6 years ago to a sudden heart attack while I was on my first ever content creation trip overseas. I left my comfortable 9-to-5 job, 4.5-year startup job, to pursue something that I thought was going to be my future, storytelling and content creation. I had no idea how to make money, I had no idea what I was doing, but I happened to win a travel content competition sharing what I loved. Sharing what my dad actually inspired me to do. I was in the middle of the trip when I got the news that he died of a sudden heart attack at 61. And he alongside Divi and a few other friends of my life, were some of the few that actually backed me to go pursue this dream of mine when everyone else in my life said I was crazy. I was crazy to go chase a crazy dream. Has anyone been there? Has anyone had people in your life ever kind of challenge you doing something? Question why you're going to the jungle? Yeah, question why you're starting that new business? Why you're going overseas, selling everything, Yeah. So he was one of those key supporters in my life. And when I came back home, we were processing through the grieving, and it was, there's a lot of things going on. It wasn't until about a month or so after that I actually pulled out a series of boxes, and inside all the boxes were hundreds of family cassette tapes and VHSs. So for those who are a little bit older, I'm not talking to the Gen Zs, I'm talking to those that remember those big chunky Sony hand cams that your parents maybe had in the 90s and 2000s. That was my dad. He had that. And he was there recording every single moment in our family's life, stitching them together in the crappy little VHS start, stop, clangety click. There's no CapCut, there's no Final Cut Pro, there's no Premiere. You have to do it all manually. And we weren't a very wealthy family, affluent family. So on Fridays and Saturday nights, instead of going out to the movies and spending money on those kind of luxuries, we would spend hours together laughing, cherishing, and reminiscing on all the memories that my dad had on VHS cassette tapes. Right? Not because we were doing it because we were performing. We didn't care about virality. We weren't doing it because of views. right? YouTube wasn't going to be invented for another 5 or 6 years at this point. We were doing it because it reminded us of who we were. It felt like home to us. And that's the feeling that I get every single time. Unfortunately, years later, when social media started becoming a thing and we flipped from the chronological news feed that was innocent, you'd share a photo and all your family and friends would see it, all your aunties would bicker and bitch about what was going on behind your back. Before we got into that era, we then flipped to this thing called the interest graph, where now social media was a performance. Now all of a sudden, we had this offline reflection of who you were and this online persona that you were putting on. You were suddenly at the mercy of an algorithm, of a trend, of whatever was happening at the time in order to feel you had a sense of relevance with your audience. Just does someone care? If I put something out there, is anyone listening to what I have to say? And it's fear-based, right? It's very minimizing. You kind of lose yourself in the process. Has anyone here ever posted a piece of content or felt a bit icky or looked at a piece of content and gone, I don't know if that's really me? Yeah? Yeah? Malcolm, real quick? Yeah, cringe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you play it back. It hasn't even seen your audience yet. Div and I were having this conversation about pieces of content we've produced where we graveyard them. Graveyard them is basically giving them a red light before you hit publish. You've done everything. You've recorded, you've gone through the painful process of getting all your raw footage and color balancing and music and effects and everything, and you've got it ready, the thumbnail's ready, the caption's gonna be a banger, and you're about to hit publish and you stare at it and there's just some knot in your stomach that says, that's not me. That's not right. And somehow we've fallen into this dance. I have. I'm speaking of this because I've done this more times than I can count. I've played to the algorithm, I've burnt out, I've started and stopped, I've questioned why I'm doing this, I'm wondering if anyone's listening, and I'm getting views but I'm feeling empty. I'm getting metrics that make me look good, but actually offline I'm feeling terrible. Well, sometimes the opposite happens. I feel really great making a piece of content and sharing it with others, but the metrics think it's a fucking bomb. Does anyone put up a really good piece of content and then just like had no one see it? Just the metrics pretty ordinary, you're like, what's going on? Yeah, and it kind of wigs you out. So, after burning out enough times, way too many times like we all have, I just stopped looking outward and I stopped looking to try and copy and be everyone else, and I started looking inward. There's a concept or this phrase that hit me one day and it was like, if you don't go within, you go without. And I was losing so much in my life as a result of it. So I decided I'm gonna start building something that felt like a home, right? A brand that I actually wanted to live inside and that I wanted to invite others to. And I didn't care what the metrics were saying on the short-term basis because I wanted to play a long game. I am who I am, and I'm going to be who I am until the day that I die. Right, or at least transfer from this physical form on this planet, in this dimensional form with all of you right now. And so, a home, as I said, it isn't just content, because anyone can build it, anyone can copy it. It's built on a certain energy, it's built on a certain intention, it's built on a certain frequency that you choose to operate on, and that you choose to attract and share with others in the world. It's vulnerable. It is challenging to do this. We've grown up in a world where you are conditioned by your teachers, preachers, peers, and injected ideals, right? To just show a little sliver of who you are, because the teacher rewards you when you say that right thing, but punishes you when you say that thing. Bang, all right, there's one point in your life, you bookmark something. I have to be performative, I have to say that thing. Your parents praise you when you act a certain way and you say a certain thing. They punish you when you say an otherwise. Your manager or work or an employer says the same thing. So you know all of a sudden you've had all these little micro moments in your entire life that have been trying to shape you into this very veneered or curated version of who you are. And then you go online and guess what happens? An algorithm punishes you or rewards you depending on what you put out, what you say, or how things perform. It's a really challenging place to go to operate from, and to be honest, I don't have an answer, and I'm not here to bash on the algorithm. I'm not here to bash on platforms, I'm not here to bash on tech, because it's a game I can't control, and it's something that I can't focus on. But what I wanted to focus on instead is giving you a blueprint today of reimagining what that home can look like for you and how to build it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm not going to give you the hacks. I'm not going to give you all the tools. I've got a little gift for everyone at the very, very end that's actually going to help you dive into that should you wish to and if you want my help going forwards. But for today, I want the North Star to just be coming home, just like I felt when I came home with Jungli. And I was like, this is a feeling. And there aren't many places in the world that I think capture a feeling like this. And I hope you guys can all create the same for your communities and your tribes and for whatever you want to do in your future. So why should you listen to me? The short answer is you shouldn't, because I'm a stranger and you just met me. Just joking. I haven't got this figured out. I'm still a work in progress like we all are, and I hopefully can come here humble enough to say that. But the reality is for the entire first half of my life, or probably longer, I didn't want to be seen. I had issues with visibility, right? Issues with having a spotlight put on me. Don't know if anyone's felt that, but we all kind of seem to have a chip on our shoulder that we play. And I mostly struggled to define who I was. So when people ask me in a one sentence line or a cute little title or a little Instagram bio, or you meet someone new and you try and describe it, I struggled saying what it was my whole life. I didn't know if I defined it by my racial background, where I came from, what my interests were, what my job title was. Because I'm the byproduct, for those who don't know and are probably curious, what is this like blonde-tipped like Australian who's here in the middle of the jungle. Got a Ukrainian mother and a late Ugandan father, and they migrated to Australia in '92, and I was born in '93. So I'm kind of one of those like third culture kids. Some of you might resonate. Like I was too black to be white, too white to be black. So every group or circle I was in, I was kind of like the token or whatever. I was always asked to be like the photo opportunity poster kid for high school opportunities and universities and blah blah blah. And shout out to mum and dad. I want to just put a little spotlight on them just to show them also how cute I was at one point. Man, oh man, they say black don't crack, but look at that. Look at that. Unbelievable. I wasn't comfortable in who I was. This is the makeup of what a eastern suburb primary school looks like in Melbourne, Australia, right? Like me, a Chinese kid, an Italian girl, and like everyone else is white, okay? And my parents don't understand what it's like to be me. My siblings were the only other ones that understood what it was like to be me, but we were still growing up, so we didn't have the wisdom to be like, hey, you're going to go through some challenges. There's going to be some difficulties along. And it took a lot of work to get to a point where I feel comfortable enough yelling to a smartphone camera on the top of a mountain in Tasmania, or presenting a valedictorian speech at my university, or sharing kind of end-of-year presentation at my high school. But that's not a sign that I've actually climbed the mountain. That's a sign that I'm still climbing. And I love and I'm inspired to share these workshops because I'm trying to help you on your climb. I love presenting as a guide, not as a guru. I'll never try and posture as that kind of position. As I said, if I do, throw me in the pool, it's all good. But so I am, and I always will be, a student. And my goal today is to share and leave with all of you a reimagined perspective on building a personal brand that is aligned, that is sustainable, and that is magnetic, that feels like home. Simple as that. That's my mission. Hopefully I'll achieve it. And all of you might be talking about the big elephant in the room, whether you've never posted content, you hate posting content, or the idea of a personal brand makes you cringe. It's like, why should you care about your personal brand? You might be asking the question, why should I care about my personal brand? And I'm going to answer the question with another question. Why are you here? Why are you here right now? You could all be anywhere in the world. Why are you in the middle of a jungle in Dandeli? Anyone, any thoughts? It's a hill? Bed? Aman, why are you here?
Why am I here? To create.
Yep. Anu, why are you here?
To volunteer.
Yep. Love it. Kuhu, why are you here?
To meet new people, learn from them.
Love it. Geethika, why are you here?
I'm setting up my life space here.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So already all of your intentions and reasons are different. But what got you here? And I'm not talking in a literal sense like a car or a plane or a transit vehicle that broke down just outside Dewar train station. How did you guys get here? Like, how did you know about this place? Anyone got an idea? Well, the answer's sitting right in front of you. He's actually sitting just to my left. Does anyone know who this is?
What are you doing? I don't know how all these pictures, man.
Yeah. Would you guys say that he's probably at some point a centerpiece of all of you being here at some point? Indirectly, there's this kind of field around him. And I mean, not only did he make his online personal brand a home, he literally has invited all of you to his family's home. That's the analogy I'm going to be running with today, and I don't think there could be a better, more beautiful meta example of someone having done that. All of you are creating online homes, digital homes, in some kind of capacity, way, shape, or form. And as a result of Divi being able to do that, or I should say as a byproduct, he's found what I call your alignment. He's found a point of 3 intersections. Again, this is just kind of my framework. Don't take this as dogma. Don't take this as ultra prescriptive. These are just observations I've had of 3 aspects or 3 areas that he's focused on with intention that has caused all of us to be sitting here listening to a blonde-haired African and Ukrainian about what personal branding is. There's something about it. And these are going to be the 3 parts I'm going to be covering today in a bit of a conversation, a little bit of style like that. So if you're feeling uncomfortable with the fact that I've called you out, there's going to be more of it. I'm going to be prompting you for reflection. All right, number 1 is identity. So the first part of today is you're getting clear on exactly who you are. And by getting clear on who you are and starting by building your home first, you're then able to attract and actually speak to others that share the exact same perspectives and values and beliefs as you. This is a bit of an inward game first. So many people, especially in the space that I work in, where I support others with personal branding, they want to know the what, the doing, right? The human doing, not the human being, which is actually the iceberg underneath the water. right? I can say the same scripts, I can say the exact same words as anyone with a YouTube channel of 1 million. I can come online like as I'm a prime minister, like as I'm Elon Musk. I'd say the exact same words, but it is not going to have the same impact because I am not Elon Musk, or I'm not Donald Trump, or I'm not whatever person or figure that you look at. There's a difference in being. I'm going to help give you a little bit of a starting guide in terms of what aspects to think of in shaping your identity, getting yourself aligned offline as who you are, your being. We're not going to get too esoteric or too woo, but I'll throw a little bit into it because it wouldn't be a Mamba speech without it. Then thinking about your identity first. Next is your content. Divi nailed it in the very, very start when he said, this thing called social media, this thing called content or whatever, it's just the 2025 modality we have to communicate. All right, we had the printing press, we had big screen TV, we've had radio, we had things written on pulp with a feather and ink. So humans have always craved the need to connect, and communication is the modality that we use for it. It just looks different. If I had this in about 100 years, I might be talking about how we're all plugged into like some VR headset with IV drips and we're all communicating through like mental telepathic thoughts or whatnot. But communication's fundamental. It's how we actually relate and it's how we connect as humans. And this is obviously the big one, is your offer. Your offer in plain text, I just consider it's an invitation to your world and it's an invitation to your community. All right, the online world unfortunately has put a really, really sour taste in your mouth potentially about making money online and doing all of this. And it's a bit of a one-sided perspective of how I view offers, products and services. Hopefully I can give you a perspective that doesn't make you cringe as much and actually makes you see it as a way to provide fair exchange and service and impact to those in your world. To those who want to raise their hand and say, hey, I want to be amongst your energy. I want to actually gravitate towards what you have. I believe in your mission. I believe in your values. And in exchange for everything you provided for me, there's this thing that I can exchange with you in the form of money or credits or crypto or whatever it might be, that is my way of providing a thank you, right, for what you've done. And the sweet spot we want to nail is the one in the middle that I'd say Divi has done exceptionally well. Whether he realized it or not, I'm very grateful that as a friend and as a former colleague and also as a coach indirectly and sometimes, I've actually been able to see him absorb some of these very same principles that we've spoken about for years and he's lived them out. And it's why I'm filled with so much pride and inspiration when I come to a place like this, when I come to a community that you have consciously built as a downstream of really who you are and you getting clear on that. Now, it's not easy. This isn't a walk in the park. Divi's not going to say that he woke up one day and had a moment of clarity. Oh, wait, he did. But he went on a bit of a journey of self and he did some things. He had to zig when everyone was zagging. He took a van around Queensland. He met some interesting people, had some incredible experiences and had to spend a lot of time with himself, which this world doesn't reward. This world doesn't favour, right? But for those that are willing to do it and rise above and become leaders, innovators, pioneers, mavericks of their world, which I see each and every one of you in your own right, if you're willing to step up and be that for your tribe, then you can create something just like what Divi's made here in Jungli, but whatever that looks like for you. There's a couple of pitfalls if you don't have everything in alignment. So you may not be able to see the entire diagram, but maybe squint or zoom in if you can. There's a couple of these little pitfalls where if you have something out of alignment, I consider you kind of hit those moments of burnout that I had. Many of you had as well, and this is what I've observed. If your content on your offer is on point, so for example, you've got a fantastic product and offering a service that you have to others in the world, and you've got great content that's getting a lot of eyeballs, a lot of people are seeing what you have to offer, but you haven't figured out who you are, or you're a carbon copy of someone else, you're trying to copy Malcolm's vibe, or Geethika's vibe, or Nadim's vibe, and you know every time you make a piece of content, there's just that tension, there's that cringe, there's that ick, right? Your identity is going to create what I consider to be really just a state of burnout. You've got immense resistance and eventually it's going to catch up with you. Maybe you have your identity on point, you've done some work, you figured out who you are, through some of the prompts that I have shortly, and you've got a remarkable offer, but you embody the archetype of being a starving artist. You're the world's best kept secret, right? You're not willing to promote yourself. So there's what's called no awareness. No one knows who you are. So you might have the best possible skill set or expertise, but you're in obscurity. And there are a lot of people in this world that for whatever reason have a resistance towards visibility. I definitely did for most of my life. That was my biggest issue that I've had to overcome and try and work through. And content is just the means and the tools of you actually amplifying and showing who you are rather than trying to show up as someone that you're not. Hopefully can give you some reframes today. I'm getting blessed by the rain right now, which is a good place to be. It's not going rain yet. And there's the last one. You might have your identity dialed in, you're clear of who you are, you're showing up to the world. You might have your content pumping, but you're not offering anything to the world. And as a result, you can't make the impact that you want to make in the world. I think to mirror or to complement what we consider to be income, right? The duality, or the opposite of that, is creating an impact. There is a fair exchange in doing that. You're not just extracting money from others, you're not extracting some kind of exchange from others, you are giving them a transformation or a result. Something that is related to your zone of mastery, your expertise, something that you live and you breathe and you love and is connected to your core mission on a deeper basis. And so if you don't have an offer, well, I say there's no impact you can make on the world. And I hate to say it, guys, this is maybe the minor capitalist in me, but money in this world, in 2025, is the lifeblood of you sustaining and scaling any enterprise. Right? Jungli can't operate without cash. Right? You probably can't operate without cash. You're either going to burn out making content alone and posting it online. I don't know about you guys, but I've been posting a lot of content and I've been getting paid jack squat from each of the platforms. Right? It is a love-hate relationship I have, but I'm using content and I'm leveraging that so I can help invite and move people and invite them into my home and say, hey, if this home and this resonates with you, I'd love to host you. And this is what I can do for you. Right? And so that's what makes it sustainable long-term. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Geethika, I'm going to call you out real quick. You don't have to stand anywhere. I'm just going to give you this microphone. We had a little conversation, and I don't know if you remember it, but I've been making mental notes and writing down. I've had some great chats with people. So the first part of what we're going to be talking about is your identity.
Okay.
And I'm not going to ask you to share something that you haven't already shared with me before, so I hope it's okay in this environment.
All right.
Okay, this is the open prompt for everyone, and then I'm going to ask Geethika to share something specifically.
All right.
Have you guys ever achieved something in your life and everyone around you was praising you and telling you how good it was and you were meant to be elated, like you got a promotion at work, like an A+ or something like that, but you didn't like who you were in the process, or you didn't like how you got there? Has that ever happened?
Yep.
Yeah? Geethika, you shared a really beautiful story. I was wondering if everyone right now, you'd be willing to reflect on the time you mentioned you hit that moment of burnout in your 10+ year career and you stood on your
Yes.
balcony and you asked a question. Yeah?
Yeah.
Could you just give everyone a bit of a share as to what that looked like?
Sure.
Thank you.
So very quickly, I'm going to skip all the details. Basically, I was doing the 9 to 5 for about 10 to 12 years. And eventually, I realized that that moment in my balcony basically was that this can't be my life. You know, I am so tired. I am so pissed off. I don't want to get up again tomorrow and get in a car, get stuck in traffic. I was a champion of road rage. That was probably the one thing that I looked forward to. Like, just go pick fights with somebody on the road. But that's what, like, when I reached that point where I just did not have it in me to kind of appreciate what I was doing, even if it was great, even if it was paying my bills and all of that, it just did not help me feel good about anything that I was doing or the way I was living. That's when I reached that point that this can't be my life. I quit the job. It started as a break, and then I started landing some nice freelance gigs. That's when I was like, this is supposed to be my thing. I need to get my time back. I need to do what I feel like doing. And that came right after the burnout. And that's when I decided to kind of take charge of my life and do whatever it is that I want to. While my parents sitting miles away were like, dude, you've lost your mind. Why don't you come back home? Take a break. What do you mean you're not going to have a job? What are you going to do with your life? Yeah. So
amazing. Round of applause for Geethika, please. That's amazing. Thank you so much. You chose yourself over you chose everyone and the expectations of others around you. And it's really hard to do. How's life looked for you ever since you made that decision?
I showed up and my parents didn't know I did this, so
Yep.
Peaceful. Extremely peaceful.
Amazing. That's a perfect example, and I appreciate you for sharing that. Identity is about being the architect or intentionally designing your home, the life that you want to live in and the person that you actually want to become. Because you felt a little bit of incongruence with what that identity was, right? And you woke up that day and you said, how did I get here? And I don't like who I am. I don't like that I'm yelling and picking fights with people in traffic. I'm glad, because I haven't had to see that part of you that you said you don't want to see Geethika lit up. So please keep it okay. Maybe you've seen some of it. Amazing. There's 3 aspects or 3 areas. If you are new to this, or you right now want to use this as a chance to self-audit and self-reflect, you ever catch yourself in a moment where you're burning out and you're a little bit stuck and you're being like, well, who actually am I? And by the way, this is like before we talk about creating content. This is before we talk about smartphone settings and which platform to post on. We'll get to content next. This is all about you. Like I cannot emphasize, I've coached hundreds, presented in front of thousands, advised and helped. And there are so many people, I can just sense it within 5 or 10 minutes of talking to them that they don't feel safe, or they don't even trust who they are, or they don't trust themselves. And there's just this like misalignment. And I'm like, I can give you all the settings and I can tell you what content to post, but it's not going to last long because there's some inner work you need to do. That's why I'm presenting like this as I used to. I've been doing this for about 5 or 10 years. And early on, I used to come with the doing, less about the being. So I hope this hopefully is a bit of a concoction or a synthesis of 3 things I found. Number 1, it's your mission. It is looking at yourself and saying what, why, and what makes me wake up in the morning. Is it because I want to continue this corporate pathway in HR where it's politics and bickering and I'm yelling at people? Or is it because I get to serve incredible conscious creatives that come from all over the world to share this place over here? Share meals, share energy, share wisdom, share love, share connection. Whatever it is, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever your core mission is, right? Your parents can't tell you what it is. Your teachers can't tell you what it is. No one's going to hand this on to you. But this is creating space for yourself at some point in your life, like Divi did. You don't have to go in a van called Spoons if you don't want to. But whatever that creating space looks like for you, it's actually really deeply reflecting on this. I make an exercise every quarter. I actually just have a little reminder in my calendar. Every 3 months, it's just like, hey, what's my mission? And I just have half a day dedicated. I just go to a cafe, pen, no distractions, airplane mode, and I just write. Because this keeps evolving. This is an exercise, right? You're not going to have it once. You're not going to wake up and there's this like done, set and forget epiphany of like how your life should look and what you're committed to. But a couple of questions might be like, what beliefs or truths do you hold about the world? What is that undeniable or irrefutable view that you hold about how you would like to see change in the world? What would you, at the end of your life, if you were able to fulfill this mission and leave it for your kids and your grandkids, or if you don't want to have kids, that's okay, but for your fellow brothers and sisters on this planet, what would make you say, I contributed towards something great, or my work and my time on this planet was well spent and it was done? It's a core mission, it's a bigger thing. Again, I'm not expecting you're going to have it within this session and this conversation. If anyone does have it, I'd love to hear it, but I'm going to prompt someone else right now to come up with it. I was at a team meeting, a postponed team meeting on Tuesday afternoon. Divi kindly invited me to come down, and at the start of it, he makes an exercise of prompting his entire team to ask them, what's the mission? If you'd be happy to share, because I feel it's an open room, could you let everyone know what is the mission of Jungli?
Yeah, man, it's taken some time to get to. Our first mission was Jungli is a space where people come to do their best work. But we got very interesting feedback that while that's a good starting mission, it doesn't encompass the nature, the wellness, the creativity, the relaxation that this place has to offer. So based on community feedback, we've come up with a new mission, which is Jungli, the Nomad Village, is a dreamland, where every little thing from food to community is lovingly handled to give you back time to do what matters to you.
Yeah.
So that can be rest, creation, or deep work. And that's the 3 reasons why people come here.
Appreciate it. Round of applause to Divi and the team.
Yes, man.
Love it. Thank you. Does everyone feel like that mission's being fulfilled? Yeah? Yeah, for those who've been here, I'd say pretty good, yeah? No one's raising their hands. No one has told any of those things Divi just then mentioned. All right, I've got to have some perf, man. We've got to have a performance review.
I think so.
This is working through. So there's a problem.
Form upon checkout, guys.
You also said something at the very, very start, which I didn't even prompt you to. By the way, everyone who I'm prompting right now, they don't know that I'm calling them out for these things, and any of you could be next. You said it has evolved many times due to feedback.
Yes.
So you wrote version 1, you could be up to version 4.7 by now.
Absolutely.
Right? And it keeps on going. So I just want to use that as a real example of what a mission can look like. And that is going to help guide all of your actions and everything you do going forwards. And hopefully you're seeing it already as a living, breathing work in progress right now. And I'm sure it'll evolve again, but I'm here for it, mate, whatever it looks like. Number 2 is you're getting clear on your values. All right? Values has come up a lot in conversations here, and I love that. I can tell people that have really dialed into themselves and knowing what makes them unique. Values are just those kind of like immovable, non-negotiable things that you don't have to be reminded of. Subconsciously or consciously, it's the filter through which you make decisions or you make trade-offs in this world. They're the things that you hold true to your heart. Again, like I said with the mission, there's no right or wrong. Every single one of you are a unique combination of different values, and that's okay. You've got different stories. I've had some remarkable experiences, some past life regressions, some childhood developments, a lot of incredible stories from all of you here as to some of the moments in your life that have inevitably shaped certain things that you value and that you prioritize over others. And a value is then the filter of how you actually do things, what you actually decide is a trade-off or not. Now, at the very, very start, I said, why are you guys all here? And you all said different things. Some was to connect, some was to learn, some was to create and do work. Those are actually, you actually didn't realize, but you were communicating your values to me. You didn't say them explicitly, but if it's the first thing that comes to mind and you don't spend any time on it, that's probably your subconscious or your soul whispering and saying, this is what you're valuing. Because again, all of you are here, but all of you are not somewhere else in the world. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you've chosen to prioritize this experience and whatever Jungli represents to you. That is a high value for you. The dilemma that a lot of people have, at least in an online perspective, is that they don't get clear on their own values. So when they are communicating online, like I did in my early days, I was copying other people, copying what they were saying, pretending like I was other people. I attracted the wrong crowd because I was projecting the wrong values. I was pretending to be someone else in their lifestyle and how they operated. So when I got on calls with people, when they asked me like, how can I work with them? What can I do? They wanted to meet up with me or pick my brain. I was like, you're junk. Like, how the heck did I bring you into the world? And I was like, oh no, wait, you attract what you are. So I'm putting out this signal, this message that I value this, I value the wrong thing, I value whatever, and I was getting that right back. It was a massive mirror for how I was showing up. And I needed to fucking do some work, go a little deep, wire a few things and get clear on what my values were, so then I could actually communicate them. And again, it's not going on social media and being like, guys, these are the 3 things that I value, but they're never really going to bleed into your content and what you say and how you say it if you're really clear on what's important to you. Now, you're not there to make friends with everyone, right? All 8 billion people in the world aren't going to agree with you and aren't going to agree with your highest values, and that's okay. Because again, there's only so many people you can probably fit in your home, whatever that looks like. You can't fit 8 billion people into your home, right? So you can actually be really selective, and I think a value is a really strong way of doing it. So you've got your mission, right? That's the overarching cause or belief or change or transformation you want to see in the world. Your values are the lens or the filter of how you make decisions, how you prioritize, and how you trade off. And lastly is your stories. Malcolm, we had a conversation the other day. You and Anu were out here. If you don't mind sharing this is probably the shortest answer of all time. You said like 3 or 4 words. When I was asking you, I was like, what do you want to learn? What do you struggle with when it comes to content and what you do? Can you remember what you told me in that conversation?
I think what you're referencing is I'm a fucking weirdo.
100%. I did not prime him until today. Round of applause for Malcolm. Thanks, bro. That's your job done. That's the easiest call out I've had. I'm a fucking weirdo. Is anyone here a weirdo like Malcolm? Self-declared weirdos? Yeah, Weirdos Anonymous right here in this group. I love it. That's why you're my people. That's why I'm willing to take 2 days of flights and all sorts of transits to be with my people. Guys, you're not one-dimensional. You're not a single topic. You're not a single idea. You're not a single belief. If anything, you've all noticed that you're not static and you evolve. Your views change, your beliefs change, stories and experiences humble you and change you. And that's good because you guys are all out there living in the world and getting new input. You're getting touched by the world, you're getting your ass whooped by the world, you're getting lessons that you needed to learn that have all served you in some capacity, and you have all of these unique stories. Now, the funny thing is, if you notice, I shared a couple of stories earlier, Divi shared some stories, all of you shared some stories over dinner, and you're like, well, you know what? I didn't grow up in the same part of the world, or I didn't do that, but I'm actually able to see part of myself in you and in that story. Some of you may have resonated with some of the things I shared, maybe not, but I put them out there because it's an invitation to say, hey, like, we've actually walked a similar path. And there's some part of me that I see in you, and there's some part of you that I can see in me, and vice versa. So story is one of the most powerful foundations and means of actually connecting with other people. It's not what you say and it's how you say it. It's sharing the stories that only you can share to create the content only you can create. But so many people shy away from their stories because I understand it's vulnerable and I understand it's challenging, and you might have some memories that are challenging, that are traumatizing, and I'm not here to say you need to absolutely just dump or emotionally dump all of your life's work online. That's not the point. But it's looking at moments or looking at opportunities to say, hey, this is a part of my life, and I'm going to prompt all of you in a second to say, that might have been the worst thing that ever happened to me, but I can actually now see with hindsight, wisdom and love, that was actually one of the best things that happened to me. And I wouldn't be here or I wouldn't be this person if that thing didn't happen to me. I'm seeing a few nods. You guys already had that, you know those moments? With enough time and enough hindsight, you're like, fuck. Whoa, I needed to go through that in order to and you know, I wasn't listening to the signs. That was the way the universe finally slapped me in the face, kicked me in the guts, and said, you need to change, or you need to change something up in your life right now. And your stories are ultimately a way that you can connect with a younger version of yourself or other people who are on the same journey as you. And I'm leaving these with you because so many people ask me, what do you share and what do you say online? In 2025 onwards, when AI has the potential to write an entire book in less than the time it takes you to say Instagram, right? Okay, maybe a little bit more than Instagram. I don't know if they're that quick, mate. Maybe the chatty G4O model. I'm not sure where it's at. Spell Instagram. That for sure. I can definitely say that, right? The ability to create content at volume, you're being trumped. You're now never going to beat the machines and the LLMs and the models are doing that. It's not a matter of volume. It's a matter of differentiation or uniqueness, which I'm going to be talking about shortly. That's why I really want to emphasize the importance of stories and storytellers. It doesn't mean you have to be remarkable at telling stories. It just means you have to be willing to lean into yours. In fact, sharing stories in an unpolished, somewhat scrappy, somewhat a little bit messy kind of authentic scrappy way with a few ums, maybe a tear or two there, is what actually makes you relatable. It makes people say, if they're willing to let their guard down, right, I'm willing to let my guard down. And the reason I spend so much time talking about identity, and I really want to focus on this first with a couple of prompts, is because personal branding and showing up online as you are is a game of building trust at scale. I'm going to say that one more time. Personal branding, right, is your vehicle or is a approach of building trust at scale. Malcolm was talking to me as well the other day off the back of this convo. I'll give you a respite on this one, my friend. And you said the words, when it comes to like helping others in the world, I'm really good one-on-one. You said you're really, really good at crafting offers or services to people one-on-one. And I felt the same in your presence. Within about 2-3 minutes, I was like, this man and I were brothers in a past life at some point, right? All these weird connections, all these weird nuances, all these little moments and songs and things that have been coming up. I'm like, there's something going on here because I've got you, in person. And I felt the same with so many of you. I felt a connection point with nearly all of you that I've been able to have a privilege of a conversation with. And it's because you shared something in a story that made me go, I see myself in you. And that's what's really, really important. So again, the prompt I have for all of you right now, and again, you can think it in your brain, you don't actually have to say it out loud, but I just saw so many head nods earlier, is can you think of a moment in your life where it was, at the time, the worst thing that ever happened to you? Can anyone think of those memories? Like you were a victim, you were like, the chips were down, it was unfair, or as Divi would say, like it was a big no, but at some point in the future, it became a yes. Can all of you just think of that story right now? That moment, just think back to a rock bottom, you got fired, you got dumped, you got your heart broken, you ran out of cash, All right, everyone's got that story in your mind. Now what I want you to think about is how did that moment serve you? If it wasn't for that moment in your life, what would have happened? What are all the benefits that happened from the worst thing that happened? What was the blessing from the curse? Who did you meet as a result of that incident? What did you change as a result of that experience? What did you start doing? What did you stop doing? What did you quit? What did you leave? And how has that now served you in your life at the moment? If you were to sit down and just speak from the heart, no scripts, no optimizing, no like worrying about scripts and hooks and all that crap at the moment, and you literally had that version of yourself right there in front of you, and you now have the wisdom and the hindsight to be able to tell them something, help them in that moment, let them know that what they're going through, right, is actually helping them, that in hindsight or in time, it will put them onto a journey or put them on a trajectory. People struggle with this notion of personal branding, but often one of the easiest ways I've seen anyway is by speaking to that younger version of yourself. At the end of the day, when you show up online and you think, well, what are all the stories I can talk about? What's all the content? What am I meant to mimic and what am I meant to do online? If you're just starting out or you're looking to recalibrate or you've had a love-hate relationship with posting on social media, an infinite source of content is your own life. That's why I spoke about stories, and that's why this is the thing that's going to lead into content. You have a bank of experiences and wisdom that others can't share. So if you're not sure where to start with your own life, right? You've got the 31 years, the 21 years. I don't know who the youngest person is here. I don't know who the oldest person here is. I'll listen to it. How old are you, my friend? 21. Dude, you've lived for 21 years. You've gone through some shit, right?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, you've had a little bit, Matt. You could be of help with someone like your 18-year-old self or a 15-year-old self, right? When at that time, what you thought was a mountain, was the biggest drama in your life is now like a little speck in the rearview mirror of your life. Yeah? Yeah. Totally, yeah. That's it. Right? New level, new devil. You keep leveling up. You keep being able to take on new challenges. Cool. Is that cool for you guys? That's identity. That's the first part. That's the inner game. That's spending time with yourself, like you said. That's looking at those experiences you have and realizing that that's the humanity that I think we're lacking in a lot of the social platforms and a lot of the algorithms that we're caught up in. Everyone's feeling like a cookie cutter of each other. Everyone's feeling like a carbon copy of one another. No one's actually standing out. A story is the easiest way. It's a defensible mode. AI can't make up your stories. AI wasn't there to go through the heartbreak and the hardship that you guys all went through, right? But you were. And people are waiting to hear that. Part number 2 is content, the big one. I think the one that a lot of people probably came flying, driving, hustling, moving mountains to be here. I'm very humbled for that. I'll frame some expectations up front. It is very, very hard to try and pack 10 to 15 years of video content experience and give you guys a silver bullet today. So I'll apologize for that up front. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to share some overarching principles that can hopefully talk to everyone in the entire room, no matter where you're at. If you're starting, if you're experienced, if you're struggling, if you're burning out. And then as I said, I've got a little gift for you guys all at the very, very end if you want to go a little bit deeper, but that's just for whoever wants to bite. Your content should fit your life instead of making your life fit your content. This is a principle that I've used through thick and thin. Some of you maybe watch some influencers or some creators online who are like traveling across the country on $1, doing beast games, last person to do this wins $100 bazillion million, right? People in your category like live in beautiful places, do amazing things, and probably like diminish and make you feel like as if your life isn't substantial, and that you need all of a sudden need to like, all right, I need to like, constantly travel all the time to make my life look better than it is, or do all these other things. The reality is, and you don't realize it, like your life is so interesting and so unique to someone else that you don't have the perspective to actually see that. So I'll say it again. All of you are living a life where you think your day-to-day monotony, you think what you're building, what you're trying, what your day-to-day weeks look like or life looks like is not of any interest to others. And so as a result, you don't actually share any of it. But what you might do instead, like I did, was you try and box yourself into a niche or into a category, and you think, oh crap, okay, I've won this travel content competition. Now I need to travel every single week to make my life look like that so I can uphold that veneer. And this little thing called COVID happened and locked down the entire world. And so, bam, just like that, my content strategy was gone. I couldn't travel anywhere. I was stuck in a room because I'd told myself I was just this one-dimensional creator that was only travel. And that's all my life was, right? And I was missing the 99% of everything else in my life that made me who I was. So instead, I want you to think about asking or reflecting on the dilemma that everyone's going to have in 2025. Whenever you see me, even come up here and presenting, or you see someone pop up in your newsfeed, someone you haven't seen for the first time, what are a few of the thoughts that dance in your mind when you see someone that comes away with that kind of like preachy energy, who's kind of telling you how to live your life? Like what's that initial, when you have that initial resistance, what are some thoughts that come to your mind? Like just free ball, out loud. When someone's like telling you how to live your life, what do you think straight away when you see that in your social media feed? Perfect, thank you. Keep going. Yep, that's the line. Who do you... Very good, yep. So kind of a question about like qualification, authority. Yeah, a little bit of that. Yep, pandering. Anyone else? Like when you see someone come on with that big energy and you have a little bit of resistance, what happens? Your guard goes up a bit. You're a little bit more like, oh, what's the agenda here? What's going on?
You don't know me? That's the phrase that comes from my mind.
Thank you. I thought someone was going to say that. You don't know me. Absolutely. Because it doesn't sound like you're speaking with me. It sounds like you're speaking at me, right? You're lecturing, you're preaching, you're dumping, you're posturing, you're projecting, rather than having this like dialogue. And yeah, I get when you consume a little bit of social media, I understand it's a one-way relationship. It's this concept called a parasocial relationship. Has anyone heard of parasocial? It's this really interesting conundrum that's happened as a result of social media or TV and Hollywood, where one single individual can amass 1 million followers, and all those 1 million followers feel like they know that one person, but that one person doesn't know all of them. So they have a parasocial relationship. There's an imbalance as a result of it, right? One person to many, but many person to one. And so that's why you might be walking away, and Divi might be in this level of fandom, at least maybe in Dan Delhi or this state anyway, where he walks around and someone's up to him and he's like, I know you, I saw your reel, you're amazing. And Divi's like, who the fuck are you, man? To quote Malcolm, right, all of a sudden, because they feel like they know him so intimately, they trust him, they believe in him, they appreciate him, right? And I was having a chat out here. Anu had this interesting prompt where she's not a self-declared content creator, but she was asking out loud, and she was like, if there's something I'm interested to know about content, it was how do I create novelty? How do I create uniqueness? Putting you on the spot just a little bit, could you explain what was it in particular about Malcolm's content that made you enjoy it? You remember if you shared that, if you're willing to share, and just chat into that on the spot. You said there was an element in his content that made you go, I resonate with that. What was it?
So my background is teaching. So I look at people, in fact, I communicate to people understanding how they absorb the knowledge. So visual, auditory, kinesthetic and all that. But when I search for content, what I search for, say for example, if I like one content creator, what I'm also looking at it is the novelty that they would bring it up. So for example, when I was talking to Malcolm's Instagram reels, the one that he's putting it out of loop. Yeah, so it has layers, right? So it's built on one layer after the other and after the other and the other. So if you see it at one stance, you would see it as something new. But then if you go back to multiple other reels that he had put up back and forth, you would see the connection. So the novelty part was the thing. And why did it attract me is because there were multiple elements of novelty. So, for example, one was the voice, one was the beats, one was the captions that he would put up, and so these were all something that attracted me. Yeah.
Perfect. Round of applause for Anu, guys. Thank you very much. Another one on the spot. All right, I've hit 4 or 5 of you down. I still got the rest of the crowd to go. So who's next? We love it. There's a couple of approaches and challenges that people have in the space of content creation, and that epitomized the direction I want to at least help all of you consider. The first one is trying to be first when it comes to creating content in your category or in your fields, right? For the topics or the things that you value. You can try to be the first to break news. You're basically a 24/7 news anchor, right? So you're competing against these big companies that have got way more resources and way more people, and it's exhausting because you're effectively just trend hopping for relevance. You're just trying to talk about the new thing that breaks out every day on the news cycle, and you're going to burn yourself out. You can go down that approach, don't get me wrong. Some people do it. Some people just try and have rage bait or clickbait, where they're just sitting there like talking about the hottest thing that's happens, but no one actually knows who they are. They're not following them because they care about their unique style. They care about them just because the news or the topic is of interest for them. They're not connecting with you on an individual basis. So the next one that some people try to do is they try to compete on being better, right? Or try and become the best in their field. So a better camera, speaking better, having the aesthetics looking cleaner and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, this is a great game to play. I think everyone in the long term should be committed to mastery. But if you're getting started or you're a couple of years in, there's always going to be someone who's better or the best than you. There's always going to be someone that's got more budget, a bigger team, better cameras, a whole better process running it in the meantime. Again, you can go down that path. I've tried to play that myself and I've burnt out when it comes to content creation. An area that I want to encourage all of you or to start thinking about, because it's actually easy to model, and if you're really clear on who you are, the work that we did in identity, and you're clear about what makes you you, your stories, your values, and your mission, and this one's actually really easy. It's just being different. And being different isn't moving mountains and not being crazy. It's just actually tapping in to all of those unique little nuances or quirks that make you who you are and actually letting them shine. Anu already mentioned about 2, 3, 4 elements that came through in Malcolm's content that he was able to blend and synthesize. So he wasn't the best in any single element himself. He's maybe not, no offense, my man, the best editor in the world. He might not be the best mixer in the world. He might not be the best presenter on camera. But if he's in the top 25, top 10 percentile of all those 3 skill sets or 4 skill sets, and he blends them in a unique way that only Malcolm can with his stories, his herbs and spices, his flavors, his chutneys, whatever he needs to throw in the mix, then he can create a piece of work that resonates with Anu and the people who are like Anu. And then all of a sudden, they start hovering into your vicinity. Now, did everyone love Malcolm's content the same way that you did? No. Some people swiped on, but we don't have to worry about those people because they're not the ones you want to bring home. They're not the ones that you want to invite around your dinner table that you want to share a meal with, to go with my analogy. And so you might be like, well, how do I find my own point of difference? And those unique little quirks and nuances is a phrase I call unfair advantages. Has anyone heard of the phrase unfair advantage? Yeah? Okay, who was the one who was nodding there? Next up, my man. Are we waiting for a reason? What is an unfair advantage and how do you use that? And this can be in the context of business, in marketing, in any aspect of your life. What is an unfair advantage to you?
I think when I meet someone for the first time, I can intuitively know who they are and what they're looking for in the space when they enter. So I am in the hospitality business. So I sort of intuitively know a little about them just through like a few seconds of conversation, the first 60 seconds. Yeah. Are they someone who would like to go to the beach and would like some recommendations about the surfing clubs, or they would want to go and go for a party? And that really helps me in all kinds of negotiations in my business also. If I want to go crack a deal for a property, I try to understand the person more than the deal.
Yep.
And I think it comes to me through the upbringing that I've got. I've got very empathetical parents while I was growing up. So that's I think is an unfair advantage.
I was going to ask you next. I was like, where do you think it came from? And you said you had an upbringing, you had empathetic, conversational parents with strong interpersonal skills, and by osmosis, you absorb that. It's second nature to you, but to all of us, we may not have that. And full credit to you. You are now in a place. You have an enterprise or a community, a business, a core mission where you are leaning into your unfair advantage, and it is serving you and it's serving the guests that get to stay there. Can I just have a round of applause for Shada? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's an unfair advantage, and that is what you can use in your content to create content, like I said earlier, that only you can create. Aman and I had a chat about the growing trend of hand-pan content going in the world, and you left a little nugget with me that I couldn't unhear when you said it. You're going to be my next up, and you said there's something about the world is getting flooded and saturated with handpan content. But it's really funny how there are some people who are competing to try to be the best. I don't know if his name was Malte Martin. Yep, okay, cool. So he's considered the best, or at least he's got the lion's share of content on YouTube, and everyone's trying to outcompete him. But you said a really interesting phrase about people that may not be as gifted, but they're just in a really beautiful location. Do you remember that? I was wondering, I'm just going to throw this one your way, my man. What is it about people, though, being in a beautiful location that is so appealing? Like, why are they also starting to get clout? What is it about their content? Why do you think people are tuning into beautiful places?
Yeah, I think like my point being more than just beautiful location specifically was being in a beautiful location in nature.
Yeah. How does it change the perception of the content?
Yeah, so I think like being in a nice place already first, like it just it's very pleasing on the eyes visually.
Yep.
So then naturally, like, you know, maybe the man, like say Malte Martin, he also goes out in nature and he automatically looks nicer. And then he's already playing with the elements. He doesn't have to work with those things. Like maybe he can sit at home and have the best, you know, color grading tools and skills, but then he can't beat God's work out there, right? So that's one thing that he's already doing. He's playing with the emotions that people can feel of like maybe touching on like freedom, on peace, on this, on just what it can be to be out there in the middle of nowhere and to connect with your instrument and yeah.
Yeah. And would you say he may not be the best handpan player in the world? Maybe he is, but he's actually leaned into all of these advantages he has. He lives in a beautiful part of the world. He shares a message that's very inspiring because he's probably done some work in terms of communicating. And now if you look at his YouTube channel, or if you literally search, and I did this last night, I don't have it here on the slide, handpan music, he is like the top 20 results on YouTube. And he has just fully leaned into his unfair advantages.
It's like, how do you compete with that, yeah?
Well, that's the thing. If you were trying to compete with him in that instance, you're playing this game of trying to be better. You're trying to go to even more beautiful locations than him. So then you're burning a hole in your budget and you're trying to go to all these incredible spots or whatnot. And you're just running yourself trying to play this like, you know, red ocean, or I should say finite game. Rather than being like, you have all of these tools or experiences or quirks about your life that Malte Martin does not have. And it's like, how can you start deploying them within your content? I don't have an answer for it. And I'm not saying that right now, but I'm saying that's the thinking you want to have because that's working smarter, not harder. Harder is the rat race of just trying to do better, more and be first. Different is being like, I'm an asset and all of my experiences and my skills are an asset, but I'm not deploying them to the fullest my potential. Is it the location that you're based in? Are you multilingual and can you make two pieces of language? You know, can you talk to two different languages in a single piece of content? Can you move or dance in a particular way or edit music to a bow bun, you know, like piece of music on the street and then turn around and edit in less than 12 hours and put it live and share that with the world that most people couldn't create? So you've all got these unfair advantages. I'm just trying to put a spotlight on them because you could be downplaying yourself. Kuhu, you had your hand up. Please jump in. Yes. Oh, thank you.
Portray your unfair advantages without coming across as too privileged or too cocky or, you know, finding that fine line between things. Because I think that is something I struggle with because I think I have a lot of unfair advantages that I'm not using to my advantage because that is not something that I want to use per se to, you know, get people interested in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, I agree that's also something that will pull people in. So there's a very fine moral line that I'm struggling with. So how do you deal with that?
Of course. And you might be having like a bit of like an energetic alignment, maybe because, and this is what I've often seen in that area, you've seen examples of other people leaning to that unfair advantage and it leaves you with an ick. And so you think at your level, you're like, oh, if I do the same thing, I'm going to be coming across the exact same way. And it is an unfortunate reality that I think on a lot of accounts and a lot of channels, there are people that do it in ways that just like don't resonate with me and just aren't a vibe whatsoever. On a practical, tactical basis, I would say unfollow those accounts and unfollow those people. I have a concept called conscious consumption. And I say to everyone, it's like your social algorithms can either serve you or they can, you know, like hamper you. And so if it is unfollowing the accounts that aren't good examples or role models, I try and fill my news feeds with people that align on my values, are committed to a similar core mission, and that flaunt those unfair advantages in a way that resonates with me so that I have a positive role model or a positive example of saying, that's how I do it. I'm not going to copy them. I'm not going to be Control-C, Control-V, but I'm going to be like, okay, they presented it without being too pushy. It was a subtle reference in the background. They incorporate it into their story, but they balance their privilege with also some of the challenges and adversity they had. So it's not just like, I'm all good, I'm flawless, I'm perfect. You actually balance that story with some of the drawbacks. And it's why I share that early exercise in your stories. You're more humane and you're more holistic when you show those scars that you've had, or effectively, those were once wounds that became your scars, because you balance. I think people kind of call bullshit, at least I do on social media, when someone's just like all euphoria, all perfection, all flawless, all kind of like holier than thou. So that's one of the ways I think about it anyway. If it helps you, it's not to say it's for sure. I think there is a way you can do it. I think unfortunately we don't have more examples of people doing it well than those that aren't doing it well. And that's just one of the challenges, because everyone's trying to shout in the sea of noise online. So I hope that's some food for thought on there. Yeah. But yeah, find some examples of people that are doing it right. I love it. Thank you so much. Beautiful. And thank you, Nomad, as well. All right. So the question is, if you're unsure in terms of what your unfair advantages are, like who was able to nail a couple, but this is just a bit of a prompt if you want to write this down or think about it, is what feels like hard work for others but is like play to you. So tapping into, I guess, kind of like intuition and reading a bit below the surface. Like, I know some people in my life who are hard introverts and probably haven't exercised the muscle. So having to have a conversation with a guest or putting them on reception would be hell for them. That's what I think about hard work. Whereas if you have traits that help serve you in hospitality and understanding people and connecting them, that's where you should be leaning into, because that feels like play to you, right? You lose track of time doing it. It feels like a flow state for you. Like, yes, you're getting paid and that's a bonus maybe to do it if that's your job, but you do it regardless if you got paid for it, because there's an extension of just who you are and what you love doing in this world. Congruency leads to fluency. This is a concept I literally thought of the other day when I got sent a video, and I'm about to put someone on the spotlight, because when you are able to dial in your content and focus on what makes you different, what makes you unique, and you own it and you love on it, you're able to show up and produce content in a way where you're not overly engineering, you're not scripting word for word, you're just able to speak from a very grounded and very true place. And one of the ways I literally see that showing up is when people have clarity in what they're saying. They're not umming, they're not ahhing, they're not seeming nervous. Because there was actually a Jungli within this community who's sitting in this very circle right now that I saw a piece of content of recently, and I have never seen, out of the hundreds of people I've coached, a one-shot on-camera delivery, like raw from the heart, delivered so well. And so I'm going to make sure that this is the volume's turned up, and hopefully you guys can all hear in on it, because it was the first message I sent straight after seeing it. I was like, this is what it looks like when you got your content dialed in. Okay, let's play. Let's hope this one works.
Hi, I'm Kuhu and welcome to Kava. Kava is a learning center for youth that I'm building with my family here in Nagpur. The four of us have been working really hard for the past 2 years to build something incredible for you guys to come be a part of. Kava is all about becoming better selves, learning new skills, meeting new people, having meaningful experiences that just make us better human beings. And this is what Kava is all about. So if this is something that you agree with, that you resonate with, then I know this place is for you. So we're going to host workshops, events, camps, all sorts of retreats that just make us and help us become better. And so if you're someone who can help us out with that, we'd love for you to be a part of our journey. And we welcome you whenever Kava is ready. And yeah, hope to see you soon here to stay connected to my journey and to what we're going to be doing next. You can click on the link below. It's the link to my very dead Instagram, but I promise I will be posting very soon. So I'm sure you'll have a lot to see there. For real. And hope to see you at Kava. Bye.
Awesome. Round of applause for Kuru. So between all the B-roll that Divi was adding to it on top of that, that was all one shot. I don't know how many takes you took. I don't know if you had a teleprompter and a massive billboard of like all the lines in front of you, but I think I counted like 2 or 3 ums in that, or pauses, and you just spoke from what you knew. You weren't posturing, you weren't pretending you're bigger than you are. You're not like, covers are the greatest, like land or piece or whatever. You were just right where you were. You were authentic, you were grounded, and you flowed. I know Divi bullied you to get on camera and to record a piece of content, but for someone to be able to do that, that really says something. And I've dealt with hundreds of people that get crippled by the idea of talking on camera. And it's often because there's this dissonance between what they think they need to say versus what they can just speak from immediately. And so I just wanted to honor you after seeing that. And I was so moved when I saw that. You might not be able to see it on the screen right now, but I said, I hadn't even met Kuhu yet, by the way. I was like, bravo. I said, unscripted, barely any ums, engaging and spoken from the heart. It's rare to see on camera. And a big hat tip for her alignment. Congruency leads to fluency. So I just wanted to, no, you're so, honestly, you are light years ahead of many people I've seen get started. So that's really cool to see. That's what alignment looks like with your content. B-roll is good. Couple of these ones. Awesome. I'm going to leave you guys all with a little bit more of a practical game plan or a little bit of a framework in terms of your content journey. Now, I lean heavily on video content. Now, this could become redundant in 10 to 15 years. I don't know what the direction of social media is, but I'm sure you can all agree that right now, video content is king. Right now, in the zeitgeist of 2025 onwards, every single platform has followed. The TikTokification of social media content is what they call it. TikTok got way ahead, made an interest-based, vertical, short-form graph, and now all the giants are catching up. Reels got launched, Shorts got launched, LinkedIn is experimenting and about to double down hard on video. They've already trialed it out a little bit. So at least for the meantime, video is a hill that I die fighting on. This could change. My business would probably become bankrupt in about a year's time because I rely so heavily on video as it is. But if you are getting started with video content, the first phrase or the first area I want you to consider is just get going. So if you either haven't posted a piece of content or you've been having false starts, is anyone in this phase before? Is anyone right now? Yep, you're kind of getting started, you're a little bit hesitant. Your main priority in this point is momentum, volume, and sustainability. That's all that it matters. Your North Star is not views, it is not virality, it is not dollars, it's not leads, it's not email subscribers, it's none of that. You need to get in the game and you need to get momentum. Your outcome, your North Star, is that you can sustain whatever your volume of content is that feels right for you in your life. As I said, you're not moving mountains, you're not dedicating 5 days of your entire week towards making a piece of content. But if it's long form, as a general rule of thumb, 1 piece of content a week. It could be a long form YouTube video where you're just sharing and speaking. It could be a podcast, whatever kind of works right for you. Or if it's short form, it could be 2 to 3 60-second videos a week. Whatever feels like sustainability. If trying to maintain 3 a week is too hard, but you can do 2 a week, lock in for 2. It's not like Mamba's not here going to be like, oh, you need to hit 100 posts as soon as possible. I care about consistency because the only way you gain mastery in this area, like anything in life, is by repetition and iteration. You're getting better with every single post. You've probably heard me labor this point saying 1% better every day, 1% better every day. 1%. It's very James Clear, it's very habit formation. But it means that instead of trying to boil the ocean and have perfection and an Emmy Award like movie from the first thing you ever post, you focus on one small piece in every video, your next 50 posts, and you go, next one, I'm going to focus on a sharper hook. Next one, I'm going to add a piece of B-roll, which for those who saw in that video, it was when the footage cut away from Kuhu and went to a piece in the background. The next one, I might add a piece of music. The next one, I'll add captions. Those are your 1%. Because if you do that consistently over 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're going to be unrecognizable to where you were at day one. But if you spend 30 days, right, like the classic artist trying to produce 1 piece of content, right? It's going to be 1, a Frankenstein. 2, you're going to overthink it. 3, like you're going to try to achieve this unicorn called perfection that doesn't really exist. It never really does. Even the best artists, the best athletes, the best entrepreneurs, they still look at everything they do and they can see nothing but flaws in it. So if you think there's this like, you know, like mecha state or heroic state, like Divi, correct me if I'm wrong here with your album, but I'm sure you put it out and you were like, there's more work I probably could have done on each of the tracks.
100%.
Yeah, but it's finished, published posts matter more over perfection. So publish matters more than perfection. Getting it out there, even on days when you think, you know what, I half-baked it, I cooked it, it wasn't my best, whatever, you are going to create the kind of identity and the kind of evidence of the person that is consistently posting. The real hack, if you want a silver bullet from me right now, do it for 5 years consistently and you'll be running these classes instead of me. If you literally just don't stop for 5 years, you will outrun everyone. You will outdo everyone, you will surprise yourself with how far you can go. So your aim in this stage of getting going is being like, I don't care what it looks like for you. If your phone is a potato from like 2006 and that's all you've got, start recording with that. Don't worry about the $3,000 Sony FX3 cinematic camera that's ludded with a $3,000 lens that's, 24-4F or whatever. That's like, crap that. Work with where you are. Start with where you are. That's what your aim is going forwards. Then you want to start getting good. The reason why you need volume and consistency in the next phase is you're going to have something called data or data, depending on which side of the world that you're from. Divvy and I love the data game back at Uber. It's how we made better and more informed decisions and insights about drivers. Instead of going to our upper management and being like, we think our drivers think this, they were like, all right, that's a feeling. How do we quantify that? That's not really valid. So we'd have roundtables. We'd have surveys. We'd send emails. We'd start translating qualitative data that we had and we started quantifying it or turning it into things that were valuable insights for our teams. So when we actually presented something, we were like, this is why we should make this change. There was a poll that happened a couple of days ago. Should we move breakfast to 9 o'clock or keep it at 9:30? You guys all voted? Awesome. Who's the 9 a.m. club? Who's the 9 a.m. club? Who's with me? Who's the 9:30 club? All right, awesome. Sounds like 9 a.m.'s happening. Divvy can now take that news, share it with the team, and they can figure out how to roll it out and how to implement it. All right, they started with data first. The same deal is with your content. The reason I said don't care about anything in the first phase is you're just trying to get as many little pieces or signals to be like what's actually working and what's resonating. So once you then have 30 days worth of data, 60 days worth of data, 9 days worth of data, not every piece is going to be good, but you'll have a few outliers. You'll have a few pieces of content that went from the 200 view average, 500 view average, that one got 1,000. And that one got 10 comments when all of them usually get 2. And those comments weren't all from my mum and from my brother. They were actually from randoms that the newsfeed must have served it up. There's something there. That piece of content caused 4 people to DM me and say, yo, that was an amazing piece of work. Yo, can I pick your brain for a second? Yo, can I jump on a call? That really landed, that really resonated. Or people just like open up. When you start having that, you can then start doubling down on what's working and ditch what isn't. That's why I didn't come here with 10 tips of how to build and blow up your personal brand, because your audiences, your topics, the way that you produce content is all completely unique. So when you throw it out into the algorithms are getting to a stage where they are so sharp, they will scrape your entire video of all the words that are used. They'll get all the metadata, the transcripts, they'll look at your captions, they'll look at any text overlays, and they'll make an informed decision of who to surface that content to. Algorithms are getting really good in 2025. That's why you can have like less than 10 followers and you can go viral, as they say, overnight. Because it's no longer about the clout of how many people follow your profile. It's about the relevance and resonance of what you are saying being put in front of the right people. And if something about your message really strikes that nerve, the algorithm is now so good you'll see it. You'll literally get immediate feedback and you'll be like, all right, that was an outlier. How can I double down on that concept? How can I revamp or recreate? Was it the hook? Was it the idea? You can start asking those kind of questions. Now, I'm not going to spend my entire TED talk on how to optimize on data because that's something else that I do outside of it, but I just want to give you a few prompts about why I'm telling you to get volume initially, right? It's like you can't steer a stationary ship. So you have to get going in order to get that momentum. Then you can start making course corrections and slight adjustments, ditching things that are weighing you down or that aren't right, and things that are really resonating that you enjoy making and that your audience enjoys consuming. And then for the elite, if anyone might be at the get smart stage, or you've been posting content for a while and you now know, okay, you know what works, you know what resonates. It's not about a volume game, it's about getting smarter. So this is where you start thinking of your content as a system. Right? So you start looking at being like, all right, well, and this may not be everyone, you might consider maybe how do I automate certain parts of my process? Can I use an AI tool or a workflow to start scraping or finding ideas that are winning and that are performing? Can I hire an editor or outsource something that I just hate doing? Some people here love editing, some people hate editing. It's a time, it's a laborious activity, but it's something that sometimes you can get rid of. So you can just focus on presenting in front of camera if that's something you do really well at. So that's the last stage. Again, not all of you may be here. I'm still throttling between kind of getting good and getting smart in that area. It's a dance, but you can all go through and you can all identify which stage you're at and what you're trying to solve for. If you have any other questions, again, we'll have Q&A at the end if you want me to provide a bit more of a tailored response. And last but not least is your offer. I call this effectively your invitation to now serve people, because if you have been posting content, you've got started, you started getting good, you know what signals are working and who's attracting your tribe and who's really aligning with your core mission, your values and the stories that you're sharing. And now you've systemized your content, you now can free yourself up of having to just solely focus on content. And now you can ask yourself the question, how can I start serving people? How can I start creating the impact that I want to in the world? And an invitation, the definition of an offer, at least in my world, if this is a bit more palatable than just making cash and just making bank, is this an invitation to your community to serve them in fair exchange, and in doing so, fulfilling your mission. If you get really crystal clear on your mission, your offers are literally the byproduct of how you're helping people get from point A to point B, how that is helping you fulfill the mission that you have in your life, what you want to do, how you want to see the world, by changing or transforming people through products, through services, communities, coaching, courses, consulting, whatever offer or package that you have to bring to the world, it's helping you fulfill that. Now, I had a lifestyle and a business goal. I just wanted to be like you might not be able to see it, but like an open book. In the end of 2023, before I wanted to spend a year abroad with my partner, I wanted to travel as a digital nomad, inspired by what Divi had done by getting a van and working my way through North America. I don't know if any of you are in a relationship, but 9 months in a van with a partner is a freaking pressure cooker. We saw a different side of each other that we had never seen before. Has anyone done van life with a partner? Yeah, good. All right, awesome. You guys are all sane. I love it. I wish someone spoke to me before we did this. No, we're still together. I love it. It's all good. Obviously, it was, again, one of the worst things that kind of happened, but one of the best things, and served us in so many ways. I had a couple of goals in this time. I had a lifestyle goal and I had a business goal. Mostly because I believe that whatever enterprise or business or service that you want to run, it should be serving your life and it should be giving you what you want. The best thing about doing this kind of workshop is you guys are my people. I know what it's like to be a creative nomad, a digital nomad, and traveling, not being bogged down at 9 to 5, not having to drive 2 hours in traffic and yelling at people and dealing with office politics and creating slides that no one cares about and going back home. You have a different way of working and a different way of operating, which means there are certain offers or services that probably aren't suited for that lifestyle. If you guys want to be location dependent or independent, you can't be location dependent with whatever your offer is, right? And we live in this abundance of internet and interconnectivity right now that means we can effectively serve people from all over the world with just a phone and a laptop, which is pretty cool. But I realized that in order for me to do that, in order for me to take and to receive that lifestyle, I needed to give and serve others in exchange for being able to receive that. A lot of people are very one-sided. They come into business going like, what do I want? What product do I want to sell? What do I want to have? How much money do I want to have? I. As soon as I get on a call with people and I hear that language in the first 5 or 10 minutes, I was like, bruh, we're in trouble. We got some work to do. All right, we got to figure it out. And it's because, like, as an economics 101, I did an economics degree, but I never used it. So how's that for university? I'm going to give you a breakdown of how I see a breakdown of kind of supply and demand. But before that, as I shared, I had a bit of a business goal at the time where I wanted to offer what I call a done with you service and a done for you service. And if these phrases are new to you, I'm going to break them down in just a second. But this is kind of a goal that I set for myself because I knew that if I was overseas and I was remote, I needed to be able to have a kind of service that would allow me to live the lifestyle and afford what we wanted to do while we were traveling. So I got really crystal clear on what I wanted and what some of my goals were when I was going overseas. And as a result of that, I was really clear on the businesses or the clients that I could serve with those services. So I worked in reverse. I was like, what's the lifestyle that I want? And then therefore, what are the offers that I can deliver based on that? A lot of people come into it and they just get this shiny object syndrome. Drop shipping, e-commerce, coaching, OnlyFans. Just joking. I wanted to see if anyone was awake. All right, you guys are awake. So you get this shiny object syndrome and you follow what everyone else is doing. And so you think, I'll just copy that model. But the problem is you're not wired to do that very well. Malcolm even said something to me where he's like, I just don't want to be like a carbon copy and just get boxed in. You know, I don't want to like try and, fit myself into doing one thing because you guys are all wired differently. Your genetics and your interests and your combinatorics and your skill sets mean there are some things that you thrive in, other things that you suck in. So I want you to really think firstly about your lifestyle and then how do you create offers that align with yours. For my sense, at least in this year, once I orientated and knew what my goal was, I was then able to figure out who were the clients or what are the services that I could offer. You may not be able to read it on the screen, but these are a number of Australian-based brands where I could start consulting them remotely, done with you, or creating content for them, done for you while abroad. Right? Back in the day, I used to just try and run around and whip my head around and do whatever offer, but I got really real and I was like, okay, the terms of my offer are going to be on different time zones. I can do it remotely from a van or from a co-working space over on the other side of the world, and they're happy for me to do that. So all of a sudden, I shaped my offers or my services based on what my life looked like, not the other way around. Okay? On the flip side, that was able to provide the lifestyle that I wanted, or was closely aligned with the lifestyle that looked a little bit like this. I don't know if anyone's been to Canada, but this is a little bit of bear spray my partner and I had. Everyone freaks out.
Bear spray?
Bear spray. So everyone in Australia, or everyone stereotypes Australia as having fucking snakes and spiders are going to kill you. And I don't know, I've been walking around Jungli for a little bit and I'm like, that's the least of my worries. Fucking bears, fucking big ass bears are just walking in the wild and you can just be taking a whiz or a little slash in nature and you hear a rustle in the bush. And if you don't have bear spray, that's it. Catch you later, mate. They are a wild thing. So we dared getting around North America over this period, but we bought ourselves this van we actually called it the BBC. It was a GMC Savannah 2005, no joke, the British Broadcasting Channel. The British Broadcasting Channel, man. I don't know what you're talking about. And we worked our way around it, bought some bear stray. And as you can see, this is quite literally our lifestyle that I'm looping over here. Not meant to be like a highlight reel, but this is what we knew we were doing ahead of time. Burning Man on the far right, crazy. If you want me to talk about it, let's do it another time. That was a massive bucket list item. And I was like, how am I going to get to Burning Man while still serving clients? I told all of them, they were like, that's freaking sick. Right, I was like, okay, that's how I found the right kind of clients. The middle one over here was like literally working remotely from cafes, co-working spaces, in a van, on the road, exporting videos and uploading as soon as we get it, and cold dipping and van lifing around all over Canada at that point. And that's because, again, we got really clear first with like, what is our life actually going to look like? And how can we make sure that neither of them are compromising on one another? I think it's possible to have both. It's not either or, it's and both. That's my kind of abundance mindset in the world. And this is the economic breakdown I wanted to share with you of the give and the get. So has anyone here done economics at university or has a basis of it? No one? Surely there's someone here. I want someone to be able to correct and call out my crap.
In India, we call it commerce.
Commerce, very commerce. Okay, very good. Supply and demand. Anyone knows how a marketplace works? This is going to be really straightforward, but I wanted to frame your mind because when I come across those in my world that are like, I want this, I want this, I want to sell, I want to make this, I kind of imbue them or indoctrinate them with this kind of chart that I'm just going to show on the screen right now for you. So on one side, there's supply of marketplace. That's you. That's the brand and the business that you're building. That is the product that you deliver and that you serve. You package up your expertise, your knowledge, the resources, a team of people all around you to provide a service. And you are pursuing income, okay? That is what I consider a narcissistic vector. It's not bad. I know some of you might have heard the word narcissist and thought, oh, fuck, this is a bad place to be. We all have a degree of narcissism within us. It's completely natural. It's okay. It's you pulling and extracting value from the marketplace, right? You're getting something. That's the angle you're looking for. You're getting value, as I said. I'm just going to represent it with a little green square right now. On the other side is something called demand. So demand is going to be coming from your community that you have built and attracted from your content, okay? They're going to become your customers or your clients, your guests, or whatever you might consider. You all have language for it in the meantime. They have a problem, and your product solves the problem. That is the exchange, a problem for a product, okay? In return for providing them an outcome, you are receiving income, all right? There is a fair exchange. There is an equilibrium in what you think about it. The opposite of narcissistic is altruistic. You have an altruistic giving vector. You are serving, and that is how you balance your fair exchange. And to help fill someone's void in their life, something they don't have, or a pain they have, or something they wish they had, your values and what you are able to do well and master is what is filling that void. So the in-between, or the meeting of both of them, is what I consider to be a transaction, a transfer of action between two people in a marketplace. Make sense? Yeah. Demand and supply. Awesome. Thank you. I wish I could claim this, but it's Jeff Borland, my first year microeconomics lecturer. So something carried. And this is an exchange that is facilitated by your offer, by your invitation. So if you ever get icked out, or you ever get a little bit thrown by the world and you're a little bit like, oh, I just feel like I'm just like pursuing money or doing it from a bad place, I literally made this slide for my own reference. If ever I feel like I'm a little bit out of if I'm ever catch myself in that mindset and I'm like, no, I'm doing a service and I'm providing in fair exchange to someone else. When I use the word fair exchange, that's what I mean. There is an equitable exchange. So a lot of people have this kind of like self-worth, scarcity mindset. I used to as a struggling freelancer or starving artist. I'd undercharge. I'd ask for too little. I'd down price. Has anyone been here that self? Yeah. Because you don't feel like what you're actually doing is providing a transformation. Because someone's giving you this tangible thing called money and you're like, I don't know if the thing I'm giving them, it's not tangible. You can't see it. It's imperceptible. So you have this ick. You think I'm a little bit out of balance. What you don't often realize is that you're providing a breakthrough or a transformation. You're helping someone move forward in their life in whatever area that you are an expert in or you have an authority in. And this is what helps me realize that there is no transaction where there is not an equal and opposite side. I think I was talking to Malcolm and a few of the others, I think on dinner, and we were talking about even in situations where people run scams, there is someone who gets scammed, or there's the scammer, and then there's the scammy. The universe always perfectly equilibrates every transaction that happens, whether it's good or bad. And so a way I want you to think about building an offer, this is like a very rudimentary 101. If you've never served or offered or packaged up your expertise and sold it, or like me, at one point, I'd only ever worked as a 9-to-5 employee. So I never knew how to start making offers or invitations to my audience. Really simple. After years of going to business school that was useless and plenty of masterminds and courses, I've run it down to 4 Ps. You have a specific person. They're a version of yourself. If you're helping the past version of yourself, it's a very specific version that needs a skill set or needs some help in an area. They have a specific problem. Okay, sorry, I don't know why that emoji's there. I was meant to go for a different one, but let's just run with it for now. I think that was my placeholder. I didn't change that. They're a specific problem. You are giving them a specific promise. That is the outcome. You are very clear and very specific. It's not, I'm going to improve your mindset. I'm going to make you level up. I'm going to make you do what it's not fluffy. It's very, very clear. The clearer you are and the more narrow that your expertise is, the better. Case in point. Has anyone here ever ordered from Amazon or any online delivery service? Yeah. Yep. Okay, cool. Amazon started only with books, right? What's the service that you shared with me that starts doing deliveries in under 15 minutes and is crushing it across India? Blinkit and okay, exactly 2, right? How many products do they start with?
Probably a handful.
Literally a handful. And how do they select them?
By seeing by customer data which are the things that are most ordered and are stockable and non-perishable.
They started super narrow. Yeah. Later, as they grew and they got more funding and they got more market penetration, they expanded. Yeah. What I have done and what I've seen others do is they try and become what's called like the all-in-one library, the all-in-one Costco. They just serve anything and everything to everyone at any time. And like me, I've at one point had 7 clients, but I was doing 7 different things for all of them. Some of them I was doing web design, some of them I did UGC, some of them I did content, some of them I did graphic design, some of them I did consulting, and I was scattered and split. I didn't have a team of a lot of people, and a lot of you may be starting as solopreneurs, maybe you have a handful of people or contractors you work with, but specificity not only means that your life is easier because you get to repeat and systemize the same process, but you communicate it with so much more clarity. Yeah. I do this one thing and I do it really fucking well. In fact, there's this concept called the damning admission. If I came to all of you right now and I said, guys, I'm just going to be completely clear. I'm going to be completely upfront with you. I'm pretty messy if you're going to be my housemate. I do play loud music late at night because I DJ. I'm late on paying my bills sometimes, but I'm exceptional at cooking a homemade pizza. How much do you believe me that I'm probably good at cooking a homemade pizza? Because I just then ruled out everything I don't do. I just admitted what I'm not good at, what I don't do, what I don't serve. And I said, I make really fucking good pizza. But if I came out straight off the bat and I just said, right, I'm pretty good at cleaning my house. I'm pretty good at, vacuuming. I'm quiet. I pay my bills on time and I'm good at, good at making pizza. You'd be like, there's just a little bit of a bullshit radar that goes off inside of you. Yeah. Mamba can't be good at really all these things. Like maybe he's a freak, maybe he's a unicorn, but there's just a little bit of that. So when you start in the market, come out and just own a particular category, own a specific thing that you do really well. It's easy to communicate with your community, with your guests or your clients. And so the more narrow in you are when you start, that's a really good place to start. And that's why I speak from that. There are some people who they have multiple offers, multiple products, multiple services. This isn't a one size fits all, but I know for most people here, you may be starting your solopreneurship journey, your creative nomad journey. And so that might be a way of really just narrowing in. And then lastly, you have a specific process. These are your herbs and spices. So I'm going to run you through a really easy way of building out your process. I'm going to bring straight to a landing. Your process looks like this. You look at that person who's at point A, and you have a point B, which is their dream outcome. That person at point A, who, to use a bit of a visual or maybe violent analogy, they're on fire and you have a bucket of water, right? They're on fire and you have a bucket of water. That is your solution, that is your skill, that is your expertise. They are a specific person and they have a specific problem that you can really identify. You have a specific promise of an outcome, and that outcome is one that you have already achieved in your life. You've done it for yourself or you've done it for other clients. And you can now package it up and turn it into a very simple process. And that looks like by mapping it up from point A to point B. Really simple. All right, following along? Yeah. Love it, left to right. You break up your process into multiple steps that look a little bit like this. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You brain dump it, you systemize it. This is not only handy for your reference going forwards, but if you hire a team, you can create something called an SOP, a standard operating procedure. There are hundreds of them happening here at Jungli. Things will not run on time, things will not move. Sahil, shout out my friend at the back, who's been crushing it. He's the king of SOPs. Round of applause for Sahil right now. The reason we all get the same standard experience, and when I come back here in a month or in 3 months and I bring my partner back and we keep doing it, and every process is the same feeling for every single guest, it's because you have standardized the process. Early on, I thought I didn't need to do this. I thought I could just, all the genius was in my head and I just wing it with the client. But the more that you do this and the sooner you do this, my friends, with whatever your expertise is and whatever you help people with, honestly, your life gets a hell of a lot easier. And you just focus and you narrow when you get there. And with each of these, you can then break out, as I'm sure you'd see in some of the SOPs, at least here at Jungli, you have specific steps you do within each of them. And they become a checklist, right? They become a guide. So let's just say, heaven forbid, but we had this concept at Uber called got hit by a bus. If you ever got hit by a bus, everyone would grieve, there'd be a funeral, don't get me wrong, everyone would cry for you, but then a week later, they'd pull out the SOP and they'd be like, all right, Divi used to do this, he's no longer here, but we're gonna keep this whole place going. Please don't get hit by a bus, bro. None of that anytime soon, right? That is like, it basically can make you redundant. If you hire or you outsource or you delegate or you automate, it's like your intellectual property is put in a piece of paper or a Notion document or a custom app that you might build, whatever it looks like. And that's literally what I can see you guys are doing right now at Jungli. You are building out a custom app that is all of Divi's intellectual IP that is right now distributed across the entire team that have all this expertise, and we're pooling it together. I think that's a great place to be. So that's a big example of it. But just as a solopreneur, one-person operator example, it's a Notion document. It's Apple Notes. It's just start somewhere and let this thing continue to iterate. Because that is now going to become your curriculum, your process that you step your customer, your client, your guest, or your community through when they put their hand up for your product or your offer. And then each of these, if you want to get real fancy, you can call them stages, you can call them phases, if you want to flavor it up. The reason I think it's really handy to sometimes have this internal lingo, I know you'd have it at Jungli, is it helps everyone get on the same page. So if you say, hey, we're at this phase or we're at this stage, everyone's in synchronicity. You're not bearing down into the action, but you're talking about, hey, this is the onboarding phase of the customer at Jungli. This is their this is their stay, and this is their offboarding and departure. You have phases, you break them down, and you go from there. So now I just wanted to use like a real and meta example because some of this can sometimes be a bit vague, but all of you currently do a process, whether it's like web development, whether it's running, whether it's a handpan like workshop, whatever like your skill or expertise is, you all have this in your brain. You probably don't have this on a sheet of paper yet. And that's like currently your bottleneck from now scaling what you're doing or doing more of it, because it's all a little bit like custom and bespoke fit whenever you serve a client. Now, I'm not here to say custom and bespoke fit, that's gone forever, but if anyone here has ever felt that energy from being scattered and doing a million different things a million at once, it's pretty hard to sustain and to maintain that. So I recommend simplicity scales and complexity fails. It's a way of thinking about it. Now, there were three ways of approaching it. These ones are really simple. I used these words before. Your offer can be packaged up as a done for you. That means you might say to your client, hey, I'll take care of this entire process for you. I will edit your entire podcast. I will build, actually not an example yet. I'll get to that one in a second, right? I'll run this entire workshop for you. I'll make a video for you. I'll come in, I'll install it, I'll run it, I'll set it up, and then I'll go. That is done for you. Done for you can typically attract a higher fee or a higher charge or higher exchange because you are the one they're doing it for them on their behalf. You're giving them time back. That's your exchange. They're getting convenience and they're getting certainty they'll get an outcome because they don't have to do it. So there's pros and cons of every one of them. There's done with you, which is probably what the hybrid is of the build of the Jungli OS, right? We've had like, I understand that you spent the last week kind of like just talking to everyone, absorbing everything that's been doing. You're working with them alongside it and you're working with Divi and it's a done with you right now, right? And the beautiful thing about this exchange is like there is a fair exchange going on between the two of you with how that's working right now. Sometimes it's monetary, sometimes it could be credits at Jungli, sometimes it can be a stay, but there's a fair exchange that happens in that position. A done with you might attract a slightly lower fee or a lower ask because you're empowering someone. You might coach them, you might consult them, or you might build something alongside with them. And last is you might then have it done yourself. That's the classic, online courses, online communities, LUTs, templates, packs, sample packs. There's so many different skills covered here whatsoever that it's hard for me to talk to each and every one of them. But it's a much lower price, but you have literally automated and packaged up your IP. It could be pre-recorded videos, it could be a template, it could be an instruction, it could be an ebook, it could be something that someone does in their own time and gets the same result. These are three modalities or three means of someone going from point A to point B. You do it for them, whatever the outcome is, the entire way. You hold their hand and you say, hey, I'm holding your hand, done with you. We're going to do this together. I'm going to help you lose 5 kilos or build out the Jungli OS, right? Or done yourself. Hey, I know that you don't have a big budget right now. You might have a lower, let's say like a budget conscious audience that doesn't want to spend a lot of money or can't afford it, but you still want to help them get the outcome that you're really good at. So you package up all your expertise and give it to them. Yes, the accountability is on them, but they can afford it. And if you really care about impact, I actually think it is in your interest, eventually in business, to get to a point where you have a done for you, a done with you, and a done yourself option. You don't start there because it's overwhelming, but if you really care about impact and whatever your underlying core mission is, you give individuals more ways of achieving the outcome that you're committed to in your world. So that's the way I think about offers and building them without getting too in the weeds, too stuck on pricing, and too stuck on landing pages. And I think one of the last things I want to leave you guys with is this diagram over here. Me, front and center, as well as many, many budding entrepreneurs, they start by trying to build a magnum opus from the start. Their very first version of a product or of an offer looks like a wheel. They're thinking about the car instead of thinking about how do I give my customer the bare bones solution. So let me give you an example. A customer goes, hey, I want to walk from point A to point B, or I just want to get from point A to point B. And you're like, all right, it's going to take me 10 years of research and development, probably like 4 rounds of like VC funding. We're going to make like this thing called an electric car that can drive itself. It's probably going to take me like 10 to 15 years. So if you're happy to wait 10, 15 years, I'll get you the solution. And then Malcolm comes along and is like, bro, here's a skateboard. Take it. Divi manages to go from A to B, took him 2 seconds. Great. Divi's like, sorry, Divi, like that, I don't think you're going to be waiting for that solution anymore. Malcolm's come through, like that's what you need. But then he goes, hang on, I want to kind of steer the skateboard without using my ankles. I kind of got kind of bad ankles. Can I use something else? Feedback, iteration, the second version of that offer. Yeah, let's throw in a handlebar. Great. But I want a little bit more speed. I'm sick of doing this thing with my foot right now. Love it. Let's throw in some pedals. You're still helping your customer get from A to B every time, but you're giving yourself permission to be imperfect and to iterate over time. So many creators, or those with personal brands online, make the mistake of going in secrecy and for 12 months building their magnum opus in silence. They don't get any feedback. They don't talk to anyone. They don't validate if anyone actually wants the offer, because they think that in their genius, if they sit in 4 walls and just build in quiet, and then launch it to the world, and then you have crickets. No one clicks on your page. No one sends you the DM. No one asks you for the offer. And I say this because I have owned this on my face 3 or 4 times. And that's when I decided I'm never building something in private again. I'm building in public. And I'm inviting and asking people to build it with me. Does anyone remember how Jungli was built? Yeah? Built in public? Do you think Divi went quiet and just said, in my infinite wisdom, I'm going to sit here in silence and I'm going to build the experience that I think everyone wants? He's literally still building in public every single day. Every piece of feedback and data and iteration is going in, and we all feel ownership over what this place is, right? We'll in some way feel like our voice has been heard and we've contributed. And right as a result, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm darn sure that I'm coming back here again in the future because I feel like I'm a part of it and I've actually contributed towards building it. I hope this session has served you, and I really hope this has just stirred you. I don't care if there's just only one idea that landed and was the thing that you needed to hear today. That's my mission done. And I'm very inspired and I love being able to do this stuff. So above all, I'm actually really appreciative that you gave me your heart and your headspace for the last hour and a half. I promised it was going to be an hour, but we've obviously blown that promise. So I appreciate you doing it for me. And if you have any questions or thoughts or shares that you want to have with the group, the floor is all yours. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you.
Masterclass.